Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to make this little pie. This is the pumpkin pie. I'm going to use this color, but I'm not going to use this color. I'm going to use this color, which is it's rust. I don't remember. I think this is Havana White's yarn. It feels like it. In the rust color. So this is because pumpkin pie is more like this color anyway, and not so much this color. And then we're going to do the little whipped cream dollop on the top. So I used a 5mm hook for this. We'll start with the brown or beige or whatever you're using. This is a 4-weight worsted. Everything I'm using today is worsted. So you're going to make a magic ring, and you're going to put 8 double crochets into this magic ring. Now I'm starting off great. So yarn over, go into the ring, grab some yarn, pull through 2, pull through 2. That's a double. We'll also be doing a cherry pie as well. Both of these are in my Etsy store if you prefer a written pattern. So we're going to slip stitch into this first stitch, and you're going to chain 2. Put a double crochet into that chain 2 space. That way we don't have a seam. We don't like seams. You're going to put 2 double crochet in each stitch all the way around for a total of 16. So that's my 16. I'm going to go to the top of this first chain, so that's my chain 2. I'm going to go to the top of it. I'm going to slip stitch, and I'm going to chain 2, and I put a double crochet into that chain 2 space, and I'm going to do the exact same thing, 2 double crochets in each stitch around. So at the end of this, now you should have 32 stitches, and we're just trying to keep it nice and flat. So I'm back around, and I'm going to slip stitch to the top of that first chain. And I'm going to chain 2, and then put a double crochet into that chain 2 space. Now my next round is going to be 1 double crochet and an increase. So that's my 1 double crochet, and then my next stitch for the increase gets 2 double crochets in the same space. That's my increase. And repeat that. 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets all the way around. At the end you should have 48 stitches. So I'm back around, and I'm just going to slip stitch to the top of that first chain. So with putting double crochet into that chain 2 space, you can barely see the seam, which is what we want. You don't want a great big seam. I hate seams. So put another double crochet in that chain 2 space. So your next round is going to be 2 double crochets and an increase. And that's going to take you up to 64 stitches. So that's number 1. Next stitch gets 1, so that's 2 double crochets, and then your increase of 2 double crochets in the same space. So 1 1 2 1 1 2 1 1 2 all the way around. Alright, so I've come back around. I'm going to slip stitch to the top of that first chain. I'm going to chain 2, put my double crochet. So your next round is going to be 3 double crochets and an increase. This is going to take you to 80 stitches. And then that'll be the last of our increases. Three double crochets and 2 double crochets in the same space. So that's your repeat. Alright, so I'm back around, and you just slip stitch the top of that first chain. Chain 2. Put your double crochet in that chain 2 space. So we need this pie shell to sit up now like a bowl. So to be able to get our sides and still have this lay flat, we're going to do back loops only. So these are your back loops. It's not like you have to turn it over. You don't have to, struggle to find your back loops. These are your back loops. So we're only going to be going into those back loops. We're going to do 1 double crochet in each stitch around in those back loops only. And that's what's going to help it go from this to this. We're only doing 1 round of it. So don't worry about it stretching out like this. It'll all go back into shape. Should have 80 stitches. So your next round is going to be 1 double crochet in each stitch, but it's going to be the entire stitch. And then you'll see your little pie crust come together. So I'll go into the entire stitch and do 1 double crochet in each stitch around. So I've come back around again, and I'm just going to slip stitch. This is now what you have, so it's looking more and more like a pie shell. It sits flat on the bottom, so where this line is, let's turn this right side in. Let's show you better right sideways. So that gives you a better indication as to what we're looking at here. So it sits so that where this line is, that's where it goes from being flat to a pie shell. There's that back loop only part. So that's how you do that. So I want you to chain 1 here. We're going to put a ridge along here. It's really hard to show you, but this whole ridge here that's what we're going to do next. And in order to get this ridge, we've got to do front post only double crochets. Oh, sorry, I did single crochets because it's a tighter. So front post only for single crochets, and I'm going to start on this very first post. So I'm just going to go in. Those are my 2 stitches. I'm going to go in and out. So I'm picking up that post. That post is on my hook, and I'm just going to do a single crochet. And I'm going to go, so it's a shared hole. I'm going to go into the hole that I came through before to pick up this next post. And I'm going to do a single crochet. So I'm picking up the 3rd post. So this hole that I'm coming out, I'm going to go back into it to pick up the next post. As long as you've got the next post on your hook, you're doing everything right. So it's going to put this nice thick ridge on the top of your pie shell by doing that. So we're going to continue our front posts all the way around, putting this nice ridge on your pie crust. And I will see you on the other side. So I've come back around, I've done my very last post, and I've got a nice thick edging on my pie shell. I'm just going to go into here. I'm going to slip stitch. I'm going to chain 2 because I'm going to go back to double crochet. I want to put the decorative scallops all the way around. If you don't want to do this part, that's fine, you don't have to. So to do scallops, first of all, put your double crochet in that chain 2 space. We don't want to seam. So we're sticking with these outside stitches. You're going to put 3 double crochets. Actually, to start, you're going to put just 2 in this first hole. You're going to skip 1. You're going to put a single crochet. That's just to start. That's not going to be our repeat. Our repeat is going to be 3 double crochets in the same space. Skip 1. 1 single crochet in the next. 3 double crochets in the same space. Skip 1. 1 single crochet. That's how you get your scallops. The reason why we did it differently over here is, and I put 2 in here, is I'm going to end up putting only 1 in here at the end, and then I'm going to slip stitch to the top of this chain. So 3 double crochets in the next stitch. Skip 1, 1 single crochet. 3 double crochets in your next stitch. Skip 1, 1 single crochet. So I'm back around, I've got 1 more stitch left. I've done my 1 single crochet after my scallop. So I'm only going to put 1 double crochet in there, and then I'm going to slip stitch to the same place I've been slip stitching to. And that's gonna give you a kind of a look like that. So, not the greatest. But what do? It's a pie shell. No one's really gonna notice. And that is it. You can fasten off. You just need enough to weave in your ends. That's it. I poked through down here. I'll show you. Get my needle. So I went down into this stitch just to pull it down, and then I weaved this way and through. Don't really want it to be noticeable. And then I just weaved back through, back through, back through. Nobody's really going to be playing with this, so it doesn't need to be super duper weaved in or anything. But when it came to making a knot, I did it on the underside. I just made my small knot, and that way it's under here. It's not going to be noticeable. There, you can't even see where we weaved. You can see that little knot. It's very small, but it's under the lip of the pie crust. So we're not going to put filling in this yet until we've made the pie. That is your pie crust. So I'm still using a 5mm. I'm going to stick to this rust color that I picked for the filling. You're going to make a magic ring. You're going to put 8 double crochets into this magic ring. I don't want you to chain 2. I want you to just keep this chain 1. Because we're not going to use that as a stitch. We're going to use all 8. So you can slip stitch. Chain 2. Put your 1 double crochet in there, because same thing, we don't want a seam, especially for this one. This is going to be the top of your pie, so we definitely don't want a seam. So we're going to put 2 double crochets in each stitch around. That's my 16. You're just going to slip stitch. Chain 2. Put your double crochet in that chain 2 space and do it again. 2 double crochets in each stitch around. So I'm back around. I'm just going to slip stitch to the top of that first chain. I'm going to chain 2. I put my double crochet in that chain 2 space, And I'm going to do 1 double crochet and an increase. It's my 1 double crochet, and then your increase is 2 double crochets in the same space, and repeat. 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets. Alright, so I'm back around. The next round is going to be 3 double crochets and an increase. Yes, we are skipping the 2 single crochet. Doubles. That's 3 double crochets and then your increase. And repeat. Three double crochets and 2 double crochets in the same space. So I'm back around. I'm just going to slip stitch to the top of this first chain. So the reason I'm keeping it nice and flat is because pumpkin pie is nice and flat. Something like a cherry pie usually sticks up, you know what I mean? But pumpkin pie is always flat, pretty even. That's why I'm trying to keep this nice and flat. So next round is going to be 5 double crochets and an increase. And then, so when you stuff it, that's going to be your last row. So when you stuff it, you should be sewing just under this ridge. That's how flat a pumpkin pie is. So we're just about done. So 5 double crochets and an increase, and then you can fasten off with a super duper long sewing tail. My 5 double crochets, and then my increase of 2 double crochets in the same space, and repeat. Bring up to 70 stitches. So I'm back around. I'm just going to slip stitch to the top of this first chain. I'm going to fasten off with a lot to sew with. I probably took too much, but anyway, you can put your stuffing in here. So this is not the easiest thing to stuff. You kind of got to pull your stuffing out, and it certainly isn't going to take a whole lot of stuffing, because you don't want it to sit up. That's just the thing with pumpkin pie. But you certainly want enough stuffing in it so it doesn't flatten out. So this should be just a titch smaller than your pie crust, which is what we want. So when we sew it, we're going to kind of stretch it out a little bit. It won't be that stretched that you'll see through it though. I tried to make it a good size. So you're going to sew, you're just going to come in under this lip and out. You won't see this from the other side. You're going to go around the post or through it or whatever you want to do, but it's just going to be just under the lip. And you're going to go basically stitch for stitch, because you don't want any holes, you don't want any, so you're not really going to see, because that lip, that's going to be folded down. And you're going to do the same thing, go into the next stitch, come through. So this part's time consuming, but trust me, it'll be all worth it in the end. I'm just going around the post. I'm not really going through anything. It'll hold. It's not a toy. Kids aren't going to be playing with it. But again, you can barely see. That's the first one I went around. That's the second one. You can barely see. And they're pretty contrasting colors. So go ahead and sew yours on, and I'll meet you back here and we can do the whipped cream, and then we're all done. So I've got one more stitch. I'm just going to weave in a bit. I don't think we really need to go that far with the weaving. I still got way too much yarn. Of course I always do. There we go. So now we just have to do our little dollop of whipped cream, and our pie is baked. So it's time to do our little dollop of whipped cream. Mine is just tiny. It's just in the middle. It's got a little bloop on the end of it. You can see that. If you want this to be bigger, just stick with your 5mm. But I did mine with a 4mm. So it's all up to you. If you want it to be bigger, you can just do that. Sorry, this is white on white. Let me turn down my light a little bit. See if that helps a little. So you're gonna do a magic ring. We're going to put 6 single crochets inside this ring. This is not worsted yarn, by the way. This is just for weight. You're going to put 2 single crochets into each stitch. Now you can use a stitch marker, which will go in after your first stitch, not your second one. I'm just going to count to 12. So 2 in each stitch. That's my 12. My white is not cooperating. I turn all my balls into cakes and then I try to work straight from the center. Sometimes it still gets stuck. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. So this takes you up to 18 stitches. It's 1 single crochet, and then your increase, and the next is 2 single crochets in the same space. and repeat. 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, all the way around. And you should end off at the marker at the end of your sequence. So for the next 2 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 18 stitches. So you can just count to 36, or you can use your stitch marker. So that's my 2 rows. So now we're going to do 1 single crochet decrease. So that's my 1 single crochet. And then your decrease. So you go into your first stitch, grab some yarn and pull through. Go into your next stitch, grab some yarn and pull through. You've got 3 loops on. You're going to yarn over and go through all 3 of those loops. So that's how you do a decrease in a single crochet. You'll see it written as single crochet 2 tog, which means single crochet 2 together. Same thing as a decrease. And repeat. 1 single crochet, decrease. This should take you back down to 12 stitches. So now we want to turn it a little bit. So we're going to do 6 single crochets and 6 half doubles. So that's number 1. That's 6 single crochets, and then you're going to do 6 half double crochets. And you're going to do that one more time. You better put some stuffing in this. So once you think you have enough stuffing, we're still going to do weird stuff. So I want you to decrease 3 times. So that's the first time. I'm going to put your marker in. That's the second time. That's the third time. Now I want you to do 6 single crochets. So now your next row is going to be to decrease 4 times. You don't have to worry about your stitch marker. So that's 4 decreases. So it's a funny shape. Go into your next stitch. You're going to fasten off. So you need enough to sew the top shut and to weave a bit. Anyway, so we're going to sew the top shut. So you're going to go in. You just need to go under one piece and out. Oh, before we do this, make sure you've got enough stuffing in this. I'm going to put a little more stuffing in mine because I don't feel that mine is completely full. I think I just need a little bit more. I don't want to overstuff it either because I don't want it to lose the shape I'm trying to give it. Alright, that's fine. So in and out, and do that again. So go in and out. So you just, one piece of yarn is perfectly fine. And then we're going to pull. We're going to pull up, and you're going to create this little dollop. So go straight in and across, and pull that down and up. So that creates, I'm going to flatten my bottom. So when I push up on the bottom, it's going to push up the stuffing up to the top where it's supposed to be. So when we pulled up on this dollop, that's what it creates. It's so hard to see. It creates this little loop, which you would get from whipped cream or whatever. So it's a funny shape, but that's what whipped cream is, right? So when I sewed it on to the top, so I'm going to go back down, not the same hole, but I'm going to go back down right next to the hole that I was in. I'm going to go right out the bottom. I don't want to really pull too tight on that because I don't want to lose that shape, but I'm just going to attach it to the bottom. So just that circle from your magic ring, I'm going to come across and I'm going to go back into the bottom of this, doing the exact same thing I just did on the pie. I'm going to go across my magic ring, and then you're going to pull, and that is the only thing that's really securing that to the top. If you want to keep sewing, you can. I didn't really see the point, but I am going to weave. I pulled really tight too. So I'm going to go in as close as I can to my lead because I just want it to look like a stitch. I don't want it to look like anything other than that. Again, I'm going in close to my lead. I'm just popping out wherever I pop out, but I am going to change directions before I cut it off. So there you have it. Very first pumpkin pie. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'll see you in the next video.